the lack of museums in the country, and I saw hundreds of museums all over the world. So that inspired me to make one. History of photography is something which interests me and is something which people from today's generation need to know. Museo Camera is beyond a museum. It's a place which engages with people. I was the still photographer for Aditya Arya. I also was still photographer for Chashme Badur.
Oh, wow.
I was still photographer for Saeed Mirza, Mohan Joshi, Hazir Ho. I worked in the film industry, didn't like Mumbai, came back to Delhi.
Do you think museums will exist in the future?
Oh, yes. How can you not have museums?
Yeah.
Museums are cultural hubs. So, like I say, we are beyond a museum which engages with people, which connects with people. We have a camera K20 which was used to document the iconic moment when Hiroshima and Nagasaki were being bombed. So, the atom bomb, when it was being dropped. Practice, learn, and become an artist.
Do you think it's going to disrupt this area of photography?
So, in one word, I can say when photography was launched, early 19th century, when very famous art critic said, "Oh, art is dead, photography has come."
Hello and welcome to the Good Life podcast. Today, we're in for a real treat. I'm excited to have with us Mr. Aditya Arya, the founder and director of Museo Camera, a unique museum that celebrates the art and history of photography. Mr. Aditya Arya began his professional journey as a commercial and travel photographer after graduating in history from the St. Stephen's College, Delhi University. He has worked in the Mumbai film industry and has played a pivotal role in the establishment of India Photo Archive Foundation. We'll talk about everything from the magic of capturing moments to how photography has shaped the way we see the world. Let's welcome Mr. Aditya to the show. So, you've had such an inspiring journey in photography. What inspired you to pursue photography professionally?
So, when I was young and I used to see these lovely travel magazines like National Geographic, see amazing images of people and places all over the world. And I said, okay, I must visit these places. And there can't be a better excuse to visit these places. But if you're a photographer, everything is allowed.
And you have built such a beautiful, unique, creative space. What sparked the idea for establishing Museo Camera?
I studied history in college, and I realized the role which the museums play and the lack of museums in the country. And I saw hundreds of museums all over the world. So that inspired me to make one.
Okay. And anything specifically why photography? Why a museum focused on photography? I mean, it's a very unique concept.
That's my profession. That was my profession for 45 years. So history of photography is something which interests me and is something which people from today's generation need to know how photography evolved.
Yeah. Can you tell us about how the camera evolved with time? There's a lot of emphasis in your museum around the evolution of camera. Are there any interesting insights that you'd like to share with us?
Oh yeah, there are cameras which were very popular in 19th century, like these cameras which which created very iconic images, and each image used to take many hours to take.
Process, yeah.
Today, everything is done in microseconds.
Yeah.
So it becomes more interesting for today's generation to understand the slowness of photography.
Yeah. Do you think the photography that we see on Instagram is professional photography, or, would you like to say something about how social media has impacted the way we look at photography and art?
Very difficult question and very complicated question. Everything is, a photograph can be created through many means. It doesn't matter. And what is art and what is not art is a very debatable issue. Something which is created with an intent maybe is art. Something which is just snapped at the spur of the moment is a photograph. It may not be art, But then people start collecting anything and everything as art these days.
Yeah. In your opinion, what role does photography play in telling important stories? And has it sparked any important conversations in the society?
So there are millions of stories buried in these cameras. If all these cameras start talking, they will have billions of stories.
Okay, would
So
you like to
today,
share any?
yeah, like we have a camera K20 which was used to document the iconic moment when Hiroshima and Nagasaki were being bombed. So the atom bomb, when
Wow.
it was being dropped. Now that's a story which that camera captured.
Museo Camera is also a hub for learning. There are many workshops and educational programs that you conduct on a regular basis. I want to know, is photography something that one can learn over a period of time, or is it a talent one is born with? Is it a God gift?
No, it can be learned. So
Okay.
what is Museo Camera? Is Museo Camera is beyond a museum.
Yeah.
It's a place which engages with people on all forms and genres like drama, theater, music, yoga, so
Okay.
photography, calligraphy. So it's beyond a museum.
Okay. Looking ahead, how do you see the role of museums evolving in the future, especially with technology and digital media, the way they shape the way we experience art and culture? Do you think museums will exist in the future?
Oh, yes. How can you not have museums?
Yeah.
Museums are cultural hubs. So, like I say, we are beyond a museum which engages with people, which connects with people.
Yeah.
I mean, how can you expect every experience to be captured on a digital device? No, it has to be touch and feel.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Experiential in nature.
yeah.
Photography, I feel, at its core, is the way of seeing the world. What has been that one photograph or collection of photographs that has inspired you deeply?
Not one but millions. I'm sorry, you cannot pinpoint these things and say which was the most iconic camera, which was the most iconic picture. Each piece of equipment, each image has had a immense impact on humanity, and there are hundreds of stories which are visible and which are not visible, how it was created, the process of creation. So it's very difficult to define that question.
Okay. I've also read your profile. You've worked in the Mumbai film industry and you've also established the India Photo Archive Foundation. Would you like to share some stories and insights from there?
So when I was 20 years old, some friends were making a film called Jane Bhi De Yaro. I was the still photographer
Okay.
for Jane Bhi De Yaro. I also was still photographer for Chashme Badur.
Oh, wow.
I was still photographer for Saeed Mirza, Mohan Joshi Hazir Ho. I worked in the film industry, didn't like Mumbai, came back to Delhi.
Okay, sure. And what is that one piece of advice you would give to anyone who's interested in photography?
In simple words, in 3 words, 3 letters,
Yeah.
just do it.
Ah, that's
Okay?
great. Yeah, that's great.
Don't, it's like Nike, don't wait, think ahead and
Sure.
just do it.
Sure,
Yeah.
thanks. I'm definitely joining your program here soon. There's definitely a mix of modern contemporary photography and historical photography at the museum. Would you like to uh, talk about both?
To understand any art form, it's very essential to understand the history of that art form.
Sure.
Like when you study various art forms, fine art forms, you
Yeah.
study the history first.
Yeah.
So to understand photography it's very imperative that you understand the history of photography. How did it evolve? The whole slowness of photography which led to photography where it is today.
Sure. Thanks. And how do you select the artist and the themes when you are conducting workshops? How do you decide that?
Or we let the artists share with us what they would like to showcase and then select them on the basis of that.
So there are certain themes around which you pick artists and
Yeah, every artist has his own genre, his own trajectory of work, and his own styles. So based on that, you say, okay, this needs to be, but we don't dismiss anything. We showcase all.
So, what is the process of applying to
So people
museum?
apply and we go through the artworks and we say, okay, we could collaborate with you, give the place to you, work with you. You could hire the space. So there are many different ways of working with artists.
Sure. And any one exciting story you would like to share about Museo Camera with the audience? What are you most passionate about?
Oh, so museum has a collection of more than 8,500 cameras which have been collected over last 40-45 years. Our oldest camera being daguerreotype from 1860s, and that's the earliest camera. But we have lots of original pictures from early century, early 19th century when photography started. These are daguerreotypes, these are salt prints, these are wet collodion plates, albumin prints, and we teach many of these processes here, including cyanotypes. And today, cyanotype has become a huge art form. But I've taught at least few hundred artists who've taken it to different levels. So it's always interesting to engage with people and impart knowledge.
We live in a very visual world today. Could you talk about what are some options, career options for budding photographers and visual artists?
I would not like to comment on that because photography has been evolving a lot. Today, the genres where photography is very popular have been restricted to events and to marriages and
Correct.
social events. Advertising and fine art photography has been coming down. So I would tell people practice, learn, and become an artist.
Okay.
I mean, what you want to do, whether you want to make money out of it, I don't know. Today, the money market has really shrunk.
Yeah. But it's also a lucrative business opportunity today if you.
If you are a event photographer, yes,
Yes.
not otherwise. I'm
Okay.
sorry to say, the market has taken another direction altogether.
Sure. And is that the case also with professional DSLR cameras? You know,
DSLRs may die out.
yeah.
It's mirrorless, and now very soon mobiles. So most of the companies who used to manufacture single lens reflex film cameras have stopped manufacturing. They shifted to DSLR. Slowly they shifted to mirrorless, and now they're working on different formats altogether.
And what do you have to say about AI, artificial intelligence? Do you think it's going to disrupt this, area of photography?
So, in one word, I can say when photography was launched in 19th century, early 19th century, when very famous art critics said, "Oh, art is dead, photography has come."
Yeah,
Photography never
it can never
killed
die.
anything.
Yeah,
Photography and art have both thrived in their own genres. So nothing dies. People start looking differently.
but AI doesn't have that human essence that you will have in photographs that you click through your phone or through the DSLR camera.
So, do you recall an art movement called Surrealism, where there were these very artificial looking paintings and
Yeah.
images? It just may drift into another direction.
Sure. Thanks a lot for your time, Mr. Aditya. It was
Thank you
really
very
nice
much.
talking to you. If you like such content, please subscribe to the Good Life podcast so we can bring to you fresh and insightful content on a regular basis. See you until next time. Bye.